Greetings, everyone, and welcome July the 20th, 2025, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 2 p.m. in Kyiv. And I'm coming with a special update today to answer a question that I receive on Discord and I receive on many comments. And that is, Greg, with all of your experience, where do you see the war going forward? We're already seeing Zelensky talking to Trump in a statement yesterday. Okay, we've got a deal. Let's get the weapons here. We see that Russia continues to make partnerships with North Korea, Russia and Iran getting ready to participate in war games. We see the relationship between Russia and China growing. And where do we end up? We see the European Union helping, but there's also some chaos and disagreements in how that will be. So I put together an analysis last night, and this is where we're at, guys. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing, liking, and commenting. As of July the 20th, 2025, my opinion, this is where we're at. We're trapped right now. And you can see the image here of a Merz and Putin and a Macron, just as examples, all trapped within this watch because everybody is now on a time crunch. And that includes the United States with the chaos that is happening within our country, the European Union. We've heard from even Danes. I asked questions the other day. Are the Danes preparing for war? And the Danish replies were, yes, we're ready, because we see that there is a coming war. Germany saying the same thing. It is a reoccurring statement. So what happens? We are running against one enemy that everybody faces, and that is time. And right now, my submission to you is there's some trapping going on, and I want to share with you why. First of all, Germany coming out, Merz telling BBC Europe that, yep, we were free riding on the USA and that has to stop. So this is what we're seeing right now, a transition in the power in the West from the United States-led NATO to the European Union. And right now, there's no way to define how that is going to look going forward, but we watch it, but time is ticking on it. Now, let's get into the facts that I want to share with you. Time is ticking 2025. So what is the Kremlin's bet? Well, number one, the Kremlin is betting on the blocking of weapon supplies to Ukraine. The Kremlin is betting to minimize sanctions. The Kremlin is betting to protract the war, to make it longer. The Kremlin is betting to play for time through negotiations, to continue to strike Ukrainian cities, destroying infrastructure and terrorizing civilians. The Kremlin is betting on an information war against Ukraine to make the West tired of Ukraine, to make the West tired of the war. Ladies and gentlemen, if you do not think that the Kremlin wants to stir up even internal United States politics right now in regard to Donald Trump and the Epstein list and other key factors that are happening, like even mayoral races in New York City, where there's a lot of talk, or Minneapolis, you don't know the Kremlin too well. This is exactly what they will be doing. Political interference into the internal processes of European countries, the United States, emphasizing the disagreements between them, and increasing weapon and manpower supplies from North Korea. Now, out of all of those things, the one that is happening the most is the North Korean increase of weapons and partnerships and manpower. We're seeing that. The rest is unfolding, but all of that is on a time clock. Let's continue. What do we have right now? So, in theory, Russia was not able to block weapon supplies to Ukraine. However, Russia every day will try to delay and sabotage them in any way that it can. The West is not tired of Ukraine. However, Russia will double its efforts in corruption, blackmail, and information war to promote anti-Ukrainian narratives within Europe. For example, they will continue the assault against the mobilization centers, the hiring of terrorists to disrupt the mobilization process and put it into a bad light in front of the world. And Russia does have growing support from North Korea and its other allies. And this is a factor that can complicate the situation in the war in Ukraine greatly. As I shared with you, Russia announcing today they're getting ready to participate in war games with Caspian Sea with Iran. These things are happening right in front of our eyes. Now, what needs to be done? Easy. Prompt weapon supplies to Ukraine. That is why Zelensky came out last night on his statement and says, okay, we've got a deal. President Trump, now let's implement it. It's one thing to talk about it. Oh, the Patriots are coming. And then we hear, oh, it could be 2-3 months. We could be receiving weapons after the 50 days is over. You know, this stuff just doesn't make sense. It's not the way it's supposed to work. What else can be done? Increased air defense systems and missile supplies to Ukraine. Give Ukraine a gloves-off approach in striking key Russian targets within Russian territory. Last night, Ukraine was striking Moscow. Air defense was working. Cars were caught on fire in Moscow. It's good news. Sanctions. Now, this is the big one. China, India, Brazil, and Turkey need to be convinced to introduce sanctions against Russia, especially regarding oil. Now, we know that this is a biggie because you're talking about BRICS. You're talking about India already saying, listen, yesterday, the video I shared with you, we will choose the direction we want to go. Nobody can choose for us, and we will not, submit to being strong-armed into double sanctions and tariffs because we support or do not support something. So this is a big battle that we're going to be facing going into the fall. The key issue, this is the key. Ukraine must be thought of and integrated into the European collective defense system. This must be financed by long-term financial programs in the budgets of partnering and friendly countries and nations. In everything I'm saying, that is probably the most important statement. Ukraine has to begin to be thought of not as that little country over there that's been attacked and we're helping it, but actually as a partner and a part of us. Why? Because integrating Ukraine is much cheaper and more efficient than financing Ukrainian defense beyond the European perimeter. It is the Germans and the Poles and the Finns and the Danes who are screaming, and others, hey, Russia's coming, Russia's coming, Russia's coming. Well, your best ally and your best friend is the Ukrainian army. Don't fight against them, stand with them. In the current reality, European defense is impossible without Ukraine. Now, there is an opinion currently shared by many in Europe that Russia needs to be deterred at the cost of Ukraine, the expense of Ukraine for many years, and that will allow Europe time to prepare for a coming war. And I'm here to tell you that that opinion is 100% wrong. Why? Russia will not wait for years to give Europe time to prepare. Putin doesn't have the time. He will turn 73 this year, and he only remains in power through waging the war. This is the argument I constantly put out there. Putin is all in. Kim Jong-un is all in. Xi Jinping is all in. Donald Trump will be out in 3 years. Elections and cycles change. But these dictatorial nations that are waging war, these leaders are in forever. It is their hold and grip on power. Russia is not acting alone and is not 100% independent. The waited out tactic can lead to an even greater escalation. Yeah, you wait it out, hoping you get stronger, and the next thing you know, you have a consolidated China and Russia and Iran bearing down on you. That is a real possibility. If Ukraine is drained down by deterring Russia, then Ukraine will not have the ability to help Europe. And that is a worst case scenario where Ukraine would become a Russian resource used against Europe. Meaning if Russia was able to take Ukraine, then they take that, they consolidate that, and then they use that against Europe. This is the game plan. Ukraine does not have enough people to be at war against Russia for years. A prolonged war means losing the best military professionals, and their experience is needed in Europe. And I can tell you already, the cost has been extremely high with an enormous amount of qualified professional heroes that Ukraine has lost. Finally, the Ukrainian Defense Forces are first and foremost people in the world with hands-on experience in modern warfare who know how to fight against Russia. It needs to be used as a resource. The best way forward for the EU is a strong and capable Ukraine with Europe. The ways to force Putin to a ceasefire by the end of this year, 2025, he must become convinced that he cannot achieve anything by military operations. We must have prompt weapon supplies of a broad range, and it will be a decisive factor. The second factor is then exhausting Russia economically through sanctions. Russia must not have the economic capability to continue waging the war. In that case, Russia will just switch to political pressure, cyber attacks, information war, sabotage. But that can be managed while Europe builds a collective defense system through integrating Ukraine. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is why I say early this Sunday morning that there's a trap, and the trap is going to fall on everybody. Everybody. We must stand together. We must supply Ukraine. We must equip Ukraine, and we must win this war against this evil Putin right now. Not 5 years from now, not 10 years from now, but right now. And I ask you to share this. I had this question asked, so I took the time to put this together for you guys. This, in my opinion, is truly where we're at, and this is how we can achieve victory. Ukraine is not your enemy. Ukraine is your friend. Be blessed, and we'll be back at you.